What is philosophy? First, philosophy has been around for about 2,500 years, so there won't be one answer to what it is. It has been changing like art, if you would like, what is common to Marcel Duchamp and cave art, but still both are art, and we must have similar things with philosophy as well. But if we would like to give more content to the answer, we better start with the paradigmatic case of philosophy. Plato, Aristotle, Descartes, Spinoza, Kant, Wittgenstein. What is common to all or most of them? Of course, you find in Aristotle, in Leibniz, and in others, things which are no longer philosophy. But we find some things which have been recurrent from Plato on to this day. What are they? What do they have in common? First, philosophy doesn't have special knowledge. If you go to study history or biology or physics or mathematics, you learn many new things about the areas, the subject matter of these disciplines, which you didn't know earlier. That's not the case with philosophy. Philosophy does not provide new knowledge and does not rely on expert knowledge, unless it is philosophy of a specific domain, like philosophy of physics, let's say, to do which you have to study physics. So philosophy doesn't have expert knowledge and doesn't provide knowledge. The fact that it hasn't provided knowledge during these 2,500 years has been a recurrent source of worries for philosophers. Why do we fail to provide knowledge? And then you have time and again attempts to find the right method that will at long last provide us with knowledge. And of course these time and again fail. The recent attempts are experimental philosophy, if we need experiments in philosophy for providing at long last some knowledge. So if philosophy does not provide knowledge, what does it do? Again, I think there won't be one answer, but philosophy primarily engages with misunderstandings, conceptual misunderstandings. There are things that we don't understand either in our theories or in our ordinary concepts, the way we use them, or some way brings about some misunderstanding and we try to tackle them. If we are successful, the misunderstanding is removed and we are back to square zero in a sense. We haven't acquired new knowledge. An example I often use is Zeno's paradoxes. Take the paradox according to which even Achilles cannot overtake a tortoise. So there's a very good argument that leads to this conclusion. And now you do some philosophy, as Aristotle did. I think Aristotle resolved this puzzle. And you show where the mistake was. What did you learn now? That you can overtake a tortoise? That's what philosophy is about? No. There was some misunderstanding. You removed it, and you are back to square zero. You did not provide knowledge. You cleared away misunderstandings. If you are lucky, such misunderstandings have afflicted other areas of human knowledge, and then the misunderstandings will be removed from them as well. But very often, we fail to remove the misunderstanding. We think that there's a discovery there. And then we start building castles in the air around these misunderstandings, as did Parmenides and others in antiquity who thought that motion is impossible. And as has been done time and again, Leibniz with his monads, for instance, is a glaring example, or aspects of Descartes' dualism, or other things that have been coming up again and again and again, including to our day. There have been arguments on special relativity which resulted in similar conclusions to Zeno's, as if motion is impossible, and then you have preposterous castles in the air built by Putnam and others. So you find all these things in philosophy. Of course, you have also applied philosophy, philosophers who engage in medical ethics, say. And there, the philosopher does acquire kind of expert knowledge about a specific medical area and its problems, organ donation, for instance, or surrogate pregnancy, things like that. Moral questions come up, and the philosopher there applies his, let's say, competence in argument in order to clear confusions, remove possibilities, claimed possibilities which are not really possibilities, and so on. So this shows that we have here not one thing, but a family of things when we do philosophy. Questions of philosophy come up not only in areas like Zeno's paradoxes of motion, but also in other areas. Ethics, for instance, is a central example, but also others. Aesthetics has been a central topic of philosophy from Plato on. And philosophy has been around for 2,500 years, so I cannot have any claim to be exhaustive here. But I hope that at least I've said something significant about what we do in philosophy. An important thing is that philosophy emerges wherever we have misunderstandings. Whenever we think, on the one hand, this must be so, on the other, it cannot be so. So we are puzzled, and this puzzle requires some clarification, some elimination of confusions. I'm saying that because there are those who say that there is philosophy of everything, philosophy of chemistry, philosophy of economy, and so on. In most of these areas, philosophy is redundant. It hasn't made any contribution, and there's no problem that calls for philosophy. Philosophy is required, and it emerges wherever there are conceptual puzzles. In areas where such puzzles do not arise, you don't need philosophy, and an attempt to develop philosophy there would be strained and useless. What is the value of philosophy if this characterizes much of it, or a significant part of it? First, wherever people are bothered by lack of understanding, misunderstandings, conceptual puzzles, there will be philosophy. Philosophy is needed in order to emerges from such misunderstandings and puzzles. Even if it does not remove them, it's there because it's needed there, because of these puzzles that bother us. And you know, you often come across people who don't study philosophy, never studied philosophy, and they have philosophical puzzles, philosophical theories or views about the meaning of life or the universe or things like that. Sometimes they attempt look simplistic and childish in a way to somebody who has already done a lot of philosophy and see all the pitfalls into which they stumble. But it shows that there is a need there to engage in philosophy. So the value of philosophy for most people is primarily to answer these puzzles, but or to struggle with these puzzles. But can it make a lasting contribution? Is it anything beyond the response to this psychological, intellectual problem, state of existence? I think it can, although it doesn't do it often. Usually when people engage with such confusions, be they the naive philosophers whom I've just mentioned, or academic philosophers with high sophistication, usually what you get is an amplified confusion and not a resolved confusion. And this has been the case, again, from ancient times, Parmenides and others, to this day. So in this respect, philosophy is not the answer to the puzzle, but in a way, a continuation of the puzzle, confusions, and so on. But sometimes it manages to resolve conceptual confusions, deadlocks, fixed ways of thinking, and then it opens new doors to even science occasionally. An example I like to mention in this, in such context, is Anaximandros and his view of the universe. From early antiquity to Thales, people thought the Earth must stand on something. You know, if I take something and leave it in mid-air, it falls. So I have to put it on something, on the table. But I have to put this table also on something for it not to fall. And then, so I have to put the Earth on something. This is the cosmology you find in ancient Egypt and elsewhere. But it doesn't work, because you can't, at some stage, you reach an end to this support. So there is some sort of a puzzle here. You can't have this support ad infinitum, but you have to have it ad infinitum. So what do you do? Xenocrates said, the Earth is not standing on anything. Everything is symmetrical around it, so there is no reason for it to move in one way, one direction, rather than another. And he gave a logical reason to eliminate the support of the Earth. He opened a new conceptual door. And from then on, all cosmologies do not put the Earth on anything. It is suspended in mid-air or orbit something or whatever without any support. So that's a great achievement that had scientific significance also. And you find other such achievements in the history of philosophy. The Cartan representation, for instance. Einstein on simultaneity, where you find thoughts that are clearly of philosophical nature that enabled him to develop his special theory of relativity. So in such cases, and they are not common, I should say, in such cases, you see the contribution of philosophy to human thought, the opening of new conceptual doors through which we can travel when we think of science or of ethics sometime. So it's not just a response to a psychological need. Sometimes there are lasting contributions.